I've been drinking a lot more than probably ever before in my life, like multiple times a week. And when I think back, I really started drinking around the pandemic, like after the pandemic. It seemed innocent at first because my wife and I were only drinking wine, just drinking red wine. It was kind of a Catholic thing, to tell you the truth. Catholics love wine, and alcohol is not forbidden. But I took it for granted. And my wife and I started drinking like a bottle, multiple times a week. And I've tried to stop. I've been on and off. I've been on and off drinking for the past 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 6 years. And every time I stop, it feels like I'm going into training, right? Like it's tough. And maybe you understand what I'm talking about. Maybe you've been hooked on something, right? Maybe you're wanting to numb out and escape with drinking, drugs, jerking off, video games. I mean, we all have our thing. Even scrolling, I notice how scrolling on the phone, social media, it has like a numbing effect. In fact, one of our favorite things to do, my wife and I, when we started drinking was, and we enjoyed each other's presence. We always enjoy each other's presence. We drink and we get on our phones and we just scroll, numbed out. I once read that people who gravitate towards addictions, things that cause them to numb out, right? I'm not talking about blacking out. I'm talking about numbing out. These people oftentimes are the most spiritual, but they're suffering with the most pain because of the desire for spiritual transcendence, wanting to escape this pain of life. And the pain shows up as psychological pain, right? Always thinking, always worrying, trying to do the next thing. And that escape is a way to transcend. I mean, in a way you do. When you drink or you do drugs, you transcend the physical. You're not feeling what you're feeling before. You rise above it, right? If you hear somebody say, you rise above it, rise above it. Well, when you high, you're rising. You're above it. You're above it all. And so I noticed that in myself. I noticed that if I'm not praying, and praying the right way, if I'm not praying, if my prayer life is suffering, the tendency to seek out drugs and drinking accelerates almost instantly. So over these 5 years, it taught me something about drinking and drugs. It taught me that I use it as a substitute for prayer and meditation. When I'm on my prayer grind, when I'm praying, I call it a grind, right? Whoever drinking at the fountain of everlasting life is a grind. How many of y'all feel that way, right? Like it's another thing to check off the list, especially Catholics, right? Because we have so many different devotions, so many different types of prayers, so many things that you can do to commune with the divine. I mean, all the sacraments, Mass, all these things. And we can very much begin to think that they save us in and of themselves doing these things. And that if we don't do it, there's a sense of guilt. But remember what it is. It's not a chore. I got to remind myself this all the time because it feels like a chore. And I think that has everything to do with the enemy placing that resistance so that we stay far from the divine. We stay far from Christ. But we treat it like it's like another thing I got to do, right? Ice baths and workouts and biohacking. I'm going to do my prayer. I'm put it on a list. So it becomes performative. It becomes an act. And Jesus reminds us in the gospel, in the story of Martha and Mary, right? He's got two women that he's hanging out with at their house, right? Two friends. And one of them is busy, Martha. She's busy. She's running around doing all the good things. Think about all the good things that you and I do, right? The work that we do is good things. Taking care of ourselves and, having your morning ritual. These are all good things. Doing novenas and praying the rosary and whatever prayer you choose, it's a good thing. And in the story, Martha's running around like serving Christ. That's literally what she's doing. She's serving Christ. She's cooking, she's cleaning, she's serving. And she gets a little pissed off. She's like, she says to Jesus, she's like, Jesus, check it out. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing all these things. I'm doing these things for you. Doing all these things for you. And look at my sister. She's just sitting there. She's just sitting there. Mary, her sister, was just sitting at Jesus' feet, listening to him talk, being in his presence. And Jesus actually, Martha is like telling Jesus, tell my lazy sister to get off her ass and come help me. In not so many words. That's what she's saying. And Jesus like rebukes her. Says, no, Martha. He says, you're doing very good things. Many, many very good things. But Mary, she's doing the best thing. And her portion will not be taken from her. I think that last line is so important. Of course, the story is showing us that like Christ is not asking for any kind of great sacrifice. He's not asking you to do anything for him. He's asking you to be with him. To be with him. And when he points that out to Martha, he says, look, Mary's doing the best thing and it won't be taken from her. I think that's important too, because all of our efforts are worldly efforts. And anything born in the world will die. Paul says that your efforts are like dirty rags. The only thing we can do is actually get in the way if the actions that we're taking are born out of fear and desire. And so they will be taken away from us because they're out of alignment and they're based on manipulating creatures. Right? Like moving the chairs around on the Titanic, right? Like the ship's going down, but you're running around very busy, moving around the chairs, making sure everything's nice. But it's like, you're not paying attention to what's actually happening. The ship's going down. So it's going to be taken away from you. It doesn't matter what you do, it's going to be taken away from you. But he says that Mary's portion will not be taken away from her, because she's stored, like he says to the young rich man. He's like, you're storing up your treasure in this world, where moths can eat it, thieves can steal it, right? But Mary, and those of us who set aside the performative prayer and trying to save ourselves through works, is just sitting there. And it looks passive, but at the same time, she's storing up her treasure in the kingdom, which the kingdom, his kingdom, God's kingdom, is not of this world. It's a transcendent world. Mary is spending time transcending the duties and the worries that Martha is investing in. So here we are, here I am, knowing that just sitting and being and allowing his power, his presence to wash over me in a passive way is far more potent, far more powerful than anything we can do. Even I could be wrong in some of this stuff, but it's like, what's more important? Following the physical laws or following the spiritual laws? If we believe that all physical manifestation is born out of spiritual reality, Jesus calls God the Father, his Father. When you think about that word Father, I could be getting this wrong too, but the word Father in Latin is pater. And the word pater sounds a whole lot like it is where the word pattern comes from. And what is a pattern? A pattern is not the thing. A pattern is a blueprint for the thing. It's a concept. It's spiritual. It's transcendent. So he says, my Father in heaven, the pattern in heaven, it's all an internal reality. It's all a transcendent reality. It's all a spiritual reality. It's the pattern. But yet we get focused on the matter. This is really what we have. We have two things. We got pattern and we got matter. We got spirit and we got flesh. And so he says, go spend time with the pattern, the Father in heaven. This is not a doing. This is not an activity. This is not a worldly thing. Your Father in heaven, the pattern in heaven, the essence from above. That's the root. And just like the roots of a tree, you can't see the roots of a tree. I don't see the roots of this tree. It's in a hidden world. Of course, it's a tree, so it goes down, but our roots go up. Our nourishment is from up. That's what makes human beings very different than all the other animals. The animals, just like this tree I'm looking at, right? I'm talking about how the tree's reality comes from the unseen. There are two unseen aspects of this tree that cause it to grow. It's the pattern that's in the seed that goes into the ground where you can't see it, and the matter grows out of God's intervention in the life of that seed. That seed is not drawing nutrients to it. That seed is not sucking up the water in itself. This is the power of God in the physical thing. This is the pattern in the matter. Our roots stretch up. Our roots are also down. Our roots are in our body. I'm thinking this through as I'm saying this. Like the tree, though, we reach up for the sun. This tree is literally grounded in its root system, and it's being pulled, or maybe it's reaching up to the sky. But the magic is invisible. The growth is invisible. And it's in that invisible world that we are our thirst is truly quenched. The thing will not be taken away from us. But when I seek out creatures, physical things, to satisfy a metaphysical reality, it comes with physical laws. There's a repercussion. Somebody asked me the other day, I guess they were looking at my eyes or whatever, in these videos, and said, Elliott, is everything okay with your liver? You must see it on my face. My face and my body betray me. That's why I can't hide when I show up on camera. You see it all. And he saw plainly that maybe there's something going on physiologically with you, Elliott. And that's what made me pause and think and decide to write this or to make this video. He's right. My liver is working. I'm paying the price for putting creatures in the place of the Creator. I'm seeking transcendence through substance. So you're going to pay a price. I pay a price. I pay a price for that. The price used to, now of course, my liver might be taking a beating. The price used to also include guilt, shame, pride, because I feel like I should make myself stop. I feel like I have the power, like, come on, just stop. Just stop. But who's in charge here? If I am the Lord and Savior of myself, I'll stop. Right? If you're Lord and Savior of yourself, why don't you just stop? The Creator can do anything. If the Creator is in you and you decide that you're going to stop. You're going to stop whatever it is that you're using in order to seek out transcendence in the physical world. You're trying to do it by your own power. And I've tried to do it by my own power. But I don't have the power to do it. I don't have the strength to do it. And what I've learned as a result of trying to stop, going to war, I even had a thing called War on Vice, going to war against it is born out of fear. Oh, I'm going to go to hell, or I'm going to hurt myself, which is legitimate. And pride. I have what it takes to make it stop. I will will myself to make this stop, to stop doing this. And after multiple failures, meaning, I'll stop for a month, 2 months, 3 months, but then I'm going to have a little bit. Well, there's no such thing. And I slip right into it. You can stop for a long time. And look, I know that there are some alcoholics here who have overcome. And you can't go take a sip. You can't do it. So you use your will and you pray for God's grace and mercy to help you overcome. But it's always right there. It's always right there. I think in AA, a part of the reason why the very first thing they do in AA, I've never been to AA, but just from knowing, is they refer to a God. I don't know if it's the God of the Bible, but they're like, you got to give this over to God. You got to give this over to God. And they even have like their little prayer for alcoholics or whatever. Why? Why is it so important to make God a part of it? Because only He can take it away. Only He can do it. And if the time is right, and let's say you've overcome, many of you have overcome, whatever addiction it is, you've overcome. You didn't do it. It was His grace. He wanted to see you over. It was His plan for you to overcome it in that particular time. But I'm stubborn. And I'm prideful. So I know that God, like Paul, keeps this thorn in my side. In one of Paul's epistles, he talks about how he has this thorn in his side, and nobody knows what it is. There are those who assume that it's some sort of addiction. Many people say it was lust. I can't help it. I have this thorn in my side. And he says, I prayed and I asked God to take it away from me. Like a third of the New Testament is written by this guy. And here he is saying, I got this thorn in my side. I got this damn thing that I want to get rid of. And I asked God to get rid of it, but I can't. And he hasn't taken away from me. But then in the next breath, he glories in it. He says, and I'm not going to get this exact, but he says something like he acknowledges that he boasts. I think this is the word he uses. He boasts in his weakness so that God can be glorified. So he's like, I'll just suffer with this addiction. I'll suffer with this addiction. I'll suffer with this situation. I've asked God, but he hasn't taken away from me. And so you know what? I'm gonna glorify. I'm gonna accept this for his glory. Because God must have known that if Paul and I think he says something like, so that I do not become arrogant, right? I should probably pull up the scripture, but maybe you guys can look it up. But he's like, I know, in a way he knew that God wouldn't take it away from him because God doesn't want him to fall into pride. And it's like God does that just to keep him humble. Just to keep you humble. Paul, you're doing all these good things. You're doing all the great things. But the one thing I want most is your heart. And if you overcome this, you're going to think you did it, and I won't have your heart anymore. So I keep it with you. So that if it goes away, if I take it away, if he chooses to take it away, you'll know that it's not you that did it. I need that. That's what I need. I need God to take it away from me, not because I'm weak, although I am, but so that I know that he did it, not me. And there have been times where I was like, yeah, look, I'm free. The Lord took it away from me. But that's the perfect timing for the enemy to swipe in. And he swipes in and I fall back into sin. But I haven't lost hope. And I know a lot of you guys love me. I know you love me. I appreciate all the love that I've been getting from these videos the past few days. I really do. And I also appreciate those of you guys who've been reaching out to like help me. I've been getting so many messages on Instagram. You know, I check my Instagram. If you want to message me, you can hit me there. I get a lot of messages, and I've been getting emails and people saying, Elliott, let me help you. I can help you. And maybe you can. There are places where you possibly can help me, and I'm open to it like I've never been open to help before. You see, I'm arrogant and I'm prideful. I don't like to ask for help. I don't like to receive help. And a lot of you are going to be watching this right now and you want to help me overcome substance use. You think that maybe you can give me some motivating words. You think that maybe you can give me some nutritional advice. The best thing you can do is pray for me. That's the best thing you could do, because now you're going to the pattern. You're going to the spirit. You're going to the root. The root, it's a spiritual issue. But I haven't lost hope. Do you know that there is a saint in heaven? Catholics believe that when somebody dies in a state of grace, when you die in a state of grace, you go straight to heaven, which kind of like lines up. It makes sense, because if God is all perfect, pure being, and heaven is emerging with God, Catholics call it the beatific vision, then you have to be spotless to truly see God. To truly be with God in heaven, you got to be spotless. It's just physics. It's not theology. You can't merge with something perfect if you've got some dirty on you. And listen, almost all of us got something dirty. But those who die without the dirt die in a state of grace. Right? You were as perfected as you possibly could be in this world, and nobody gets out of here with an easy ride. But there's a saint in heaven. I think it's Saint Michael Shizing or something like that. He was Chinese. And during the opium wars, or the time when opium was running rampant in China, he got hooked on some opiates. He got hooked on opiates and he tried to get rid of it. He went to confession after every time he failed. You would say, why don't you just stop buying it, St. Michael Xi Jing? But he relied on God. He relied on the sacraments. And he went to Mass every day. He went to confession every day. And there were some priests that were like, listen, man, we can't do this anymore. These were priests. Priests are not perfect. There were priests that were like, listen, Michael, Xi Jing, you keep coming in here with the same sin. You keep getting high on opiates. And so we're not going to absolve you anymore. You need to figure this out. That's unfortunate, because that's the priest putting the power in the man's hand rather than the power in the sacrament and God's grace. Well, anyway, he lived out the rest of his life getting high and then repenting. Getting high and repenting. And he did it, he kept doing it until he died. And in the year 2000, Pope John Paul made him a saint. You could look him up. Look up the saint of addictions. He's the patron saint for addictions. So as a Catholic, maybe I should pray to him, right? Ask for his intercession. Catholics believe that also too, that if there's a saint that is known for particular strength, you can pray to receive his strength, right? Who knows? But that's an idea. That's what Catholics believe. And it's not a bad idea. How does a drug addict get to heaven? Because he never stopped relying on God's grace. That's the whole point. Perseverance. If you are struggling with addiction, okay, let me back up and just talk about me. I fall into sin and I go back to confession. I sin and I repent. I sin and you should never tire of repenting. Never tire of repenting. That's the part that he's requiring. He's not requiring you to perfect yourself. I stopped trying. I stopped trying. But I have not stopped repenting. I haven't stopped confessing. I go in and I've lost faith in myself. I go into confession and I confess my sins, and there's a prayer called the act of contrition. There's an act of contrition, right? So you say this prayer. Oh my God, I'm heartily sorry for having offended thee. I detest all of my sins because of thy just punishment, but most of all because it offends thee, my God, who are all good and deserving of all of my love. I firmly resolve, now check this out. I firmly resolve with the help of thy grace to sin no more and to avoid the near occasion of sin. The prayer does not say, I will myself to stop. I'm going to make myself stop. I'm going to double down. I'm going to buckle down. I'm going to grind. It says, I'm going to try my best, but with the help of thy grace, I will sin no more. That's acknowledging that I know my part. I know the part I need to do. And the prayer is so funny because it talks about offending God. And if God is within, because I don't believe God is up in the sky somewhere. That's so silly. If God is within, as Jesus Christ says, the kingdom is within. Me and my Father will come and make a dwelling place within you. Then the sin is against ourselves. That's why drug abuse is considered, it's against the commandment, thou shalt not kill. Because we're killing ourselves. We're killing ourselves. You're killing your liver, you're killing your brain, you're killing your health. And God loves you. And he's like, stop killing yourself. Stop poisoning yourself. So it's violence against ourselves. And it's also, there's a lot of sins that are associated with it. We're making the substance the God, our God, because we're seeking it for transcendence. So it's a sin, it's a sin, it's a sin all around. But the bigger sin is the pride to think that you can do it, that you can get it, that you can fix it. Y'all can't fix me. I was saying earlier, I appreciate all your words of wisdom and your insight and your love. But y'all can't fix me. I can't fix myself. Once again, he's got to do it. Is that a cope? I don't know. But I know my strength is not powerful enough. Jesus even says it's not I that does these things, but the Father in me. He acknowledges he doesn't do anything, but it's the Father's will, it's the Father's power that works and acts through him. And it's the same for you. It's the Father's love, it's the Father's strength that acts and works through you. But that's hard. That's even harder than trying to quit. Because it means I'm not in charge. Is that relinquishing responsibility? I don't know. I don't know. So like Paul and like Saint Zhijing, I'm just going to accept this thorn in my side. And I'm going to keep going back to confession. And I'm going to keep praying the act of contrition. And more than anything, what I know is the true medicine, the real medicine, the real healing that's available to us, to me, is when I'm sitting at his feet. I carve out an hour every day for prayer. And when I'm doing it, I have no temptations. I don't have the temptation because I'm satisfying my soul and I'm drinking from his living waters. So I'm not thirsty, and I'm going to look to quench that thirst with wine, right? Vodka, weed, wine, and women. Right? I say women, but I mean sex. Right? For some of you guys, it's pornography. And for those of us who are in marriage, like I am, if you're contracepting, this is why contraception is is considered a sin in the faith. Because it causes you to fall into using sex like a drug. And it's it then becomes somewhat free from the consequences. I've already confessed my sin of contraception. I had a vasectomy when I was like 20, 27, 28, a long time ago, way before the faith. And I had one priest that was like, you got to stop coming here and confessing that, because I felt so horrible about it. And then when I became Catholic, and I was super zealous. I'll tell you about all the zealous things I did back then. But one was, I felt so bad for the fact that I did harm against my reproductive fruitfulness that God bestowed, that I kept going back to confession. And the priest was like, yo, dude, every time I had sex, I would go back to confession. He's like, dude, you got to stop this. You're already forgiven. You already did it. What are you going to do? You go back and fix it? I guess you could if you want more kids, but it's done. Live your life out. You're forgiven. I know I'm forgiven. I know we're forgiven. But I put sex in there too because like when you listen to me or you listen to anybody, I was at a weekend retreat for men last weekend, and you hear somebody vulnerable share the ugliness inside. I don't know about you, but it's easy to fall into a certain type of pride. Like, well, if I was him, I would do this. Or damn, even if it's out of compassion, there's a little bit of pity. It's like, what a sucker. What a sucker. So maybe some of y'all listening to me right now and you're thinking the same thing, but I invite you, not because of me. I could take your judgment, but for yourself. He who is free from sin cast the first stone. The problem is we live in a world that justifies and even glorifies many of our sins. Like I was talking about in a video the other day about there's a particular type of Christian who is notorious for being very adamant against alcohol. Don't sip it. None. Right? That's not Catholic theology. But they're the same people, oftentimes, not all, but most, who are gluttons. They'll eat junk food till the cows come home. They'll be 340 pounds overweight, but think that they're free from sin because they're not drinking alcohol. So be careful for yourself, not for me. I'm not telling you don't judge me. Like I said, I can take it, but be careful because what is it that you're struggling with that you've excused, that maybe the world excuses, like workaholism, overworking? That's a vice. That's a vice. That's a vice of pride and fear. Pride that I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this happen by my own will and by my own might, and it's fear that if I don't, I'm not worth anything. I'm only worth what I can create and what I can produce and what I can make. That's not true. That's a sin. Fear and pride. So last night, my wife and I, we dropped our son off at youth group at one of the churches that we go to, and we went, and there's this restaurant that is it's so funny. It's themed after like Catholic monks that made beer, right? Like the Benedictine monks and I don't know what other orders, right? Like Franciscans, right? The Franciscans, friars. Like, do you remember the movie Robin Hood? The friar was always drinking beer. He's always drinking beer. Friars, Catholic monks created beer. They invented it. It's from God. But at the same time, like anything else in creation, it can be abused. Sex can be abused. Good things can be abused. And I'm not sitting up here saying alcohol is good, that you should use it. But last night we went, so this place was interesting. It was cool, right? Like they named the beers after like different saints and stuff, right? Oh gosh. And I had 2.5 beers. I had 2 of my own, and my wife had 1. And I know I'm leading her down this path too, because she didn't start drinking until I started drinking during the pandemic. And now she's my drinking buddy. I made my wife my drinking buddy. My job is to help her get to heaven. And I'm worse than her. I'm looking at the beer menu first, right? I'm looking at the wine menu first. I'm looking at what do they have at the bar? I'm the one. And it's getting worse. I'm getting worse because I used to have I don't know. I don't know what to do. I used to judge and condemn myself and try not to. But once I realized that that shit doesn't work, I just been like, I ain't gonna try no more. I'm not trying anymore. Lord, you do it. You take it away from me. I know what he wants me to do. He wants me to pray. I didn't pray today. I haven't been praying much the past, it's got to be at least 5 weeks. I started some new work and we have meetings at 8:15. And I enjoy the meetings. I don't have to go to the meetings, but I like the meetings. But that was my prayer time, traditionally. And I've been trying to restructure my schedule so that I can go back to the living waters instead of drinking the fire water. So it's not even in the stopping, right? Like, I'm not going to stop. Why am I getting phone calls? I'm not going to stop. It's not about the stopping. It's about, what am I going to do? And even the doing is not the doing. The doing is being. And that's what prayer is being like Mary at the feet of Christ. Just sitting and being with him so that he can fill me up with his power, with his strength, with his virtue that I can't garner or produce or exercise on my own. So, like Paul, I'm just going to live with this thorn in my side until God takes it away. You can call me weak, and I wouldn't argue. Man, I'm fucking weak. I'm weak without you. I'm weak without you. And all he's asking me to do is sit at his feet. That should be my commitment. I'm shitting on myself. And I've made it my commitment, but then I'm inconsistent. Do it for a while. The majority of the time I'm doing it. I do it for a while, something happens, gets in the way. I don't get the true transcendence, so I seek it in created things. I didn't get it from you this morning, Lord, so I'm going to go and get it from the bottle. I think that's the real shift. That's the real gift. That's the real lesson. It's not forcing the stop. It's committing to the communion. So I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. I thank you guys. Man, I never thought of you guys as like a community. I remember another YouTuber I was talking to many years ago. He's like, the YouTube community, and like your followers are your community. And I was like, no, that ain't my fucking community. You're just people who are watching my videos. Well, I was wrong. Because you guys are communing with me. You're commenting. That's what it is. I appreciate you and I appreciate your prayers. I appreciate having an ear. You become my ear to hear what's going on in the depths of my heart. I heard once somebody say that what's personal is universal. And I think that's how my videos became popular many years ago, because I'll speak to you personally. Whatever struggles you're going through, I've been through, or I'm going through. And so it's universal, but when I speak it, it sounds personal. Tomorrow I have a packed schedule. I don't know if I'll have time to make this video. Right? Should I treat this like a divine appointment, like I do with my prayer? I'll have to carve out time and guard it jealously. That's why they say God is a jealous God. He wants all of you. He wants all of me. He don't want just a part of me that I can carve out. He wants all of me. And I know that if I give myself to Him, He provides a sober intoxication. I'll speak to you guys next time. Done.